is Sky World News Review and Business Report.
This is Sky World News and these are the top stories. Pakistan batsman Yasir Hamid has claimed he was misled into repeating allegations of corruption involving his teammates. Suicide bombers have struck a Baghdad military headquarters, killing 12 people and injuring 36 others. New villages are still being flooded in Pakistan more than 5 weeks after the initial floods. An area the size of England is underwater. Japanese Prime Minister Naruto Kan is pictured in the Asahi Shimbun with his ruling party rival Ichiro Ozawa as they greeted crowds for the Democratic Party presidential election. The South China Morning Post shows mourners in Hong Kong continuing the vigil for the 8 killed in the Manila hostage siege. Leading on the Sydney Morning Herald, one of Australia's independents deciding on the country's next government, says it's all about choosing a government who will last the test of time. Countries with the highest population will take the lion's share of cash from the national government if population becomes the key factor in determining revenue share under Kenya's new constitution. That leads on the Daily Nation. The Sowetan claimed South Africa's trade union strike could end today. Right, now let's cross to Summit TV.
Hello and good morning. I'm Jennifer Sue from Summit TV and here's a look at how the bourses were last trading across the African continent. In southern Africa, Botswana's domestic index was trading 0.05% in the black. South Africa's all-share gained 0.33%, and the LUSE in Zambia was up 1.03%. In West Africa, Ghana's all-share fell 1.5%, Ivory Coast Composite gained 0.47%, and Nigeria's all-share was 0.16% firmer. And over to East Africa, where Kenya's NSE was 0.66% weaker, the Merchant Semdex was up 0.04%, and Uganda's composite was unchanged on the day. Let's take a look at the currencies markets this morning. In southern Africa, $1 buys you 6.68 Botswana Pula, 7.16 South African Rands, and 4,828 Zambian Kwacha. Over to West Africa, where you pay 1.42 Ghanaian cedi a dollar, just more than 501 Ivory Coast francs, and just over 150 Nigerian naira for the greenback. East Africa, you'll get 77.03 Kenyan shillings for a dollar, 29.65 Mercian rupees, and more than 2,220 Ugandan shillings for $1. Off in South Africa, where the country's Reserve Bank governor has been giving her take on the nationalization of mines. The ruling party's ANC Youth League has been vocal about nationalizing mines. Speaking at a business seminar before the weekend, Jill Marcus said that South Africa needs to deal with issues such as energy before tackling nationalization. Marcus says there was a need for South Africa to learn from other countries which have taken on nationalization. Staying in South Africa, where 3 of the country's top car makers are sitting idle again. It's all thanks to strikes in the auto components industry. Mercedes-Benz, VW SA and BMW have all stopped production at their plants. BMW's already lost 800 units. The National Automobile Association of South Africa says all manufacturing plants will be shut today. Car makers are only just recovering from last month's crippling strike. That cost around 3.5 billion rand in lost output. Car makers eventually settled on a 10% pay rise this year and 9% for 2011. But metal workers union NUMSA is still pressing for a 15% increase in the component sector. Negotiations are to resume later today along with public sector wage talks. And over to Uganda, where the country's coffee shipments are on the slide. They dropped 18% last month. That's after droughts cut yields. Shipments declined to 217,284 60-kilogram coffee bags from 260,275 bags a year before. Now, exports were 13% below forecasts of 250,000 bags, and total exports for the year to September could be significantly affected by climate change. Uganda is Africa's second largest coffee producer after Ethiopia. Robusta coffee accounts for about 85% of Uganda's annual output. Time now for a look at other news making headlines across the continent. Nigeria is to start a sovereign wealth fund in October, dedicating most of the money to investment in infrastructure. And Nigeria's finance minister says the West African nation is on course to achieve GDP growth of 7% this year. The economy grew by 7.4% in the first half. Golden Agri-Resources says Liberia and Golden Verolium plan to invest $1.6 billion in oil plantations in the African country. The investment is expected to create more than 35,000 jobs. And that's a look at your African business news roundup from Johannesburg. Reporting for Summit TV in Johannesburg, I'm Jennifer Sue. Now back to you at the Sky News Centre in London.
Thank you. So let's have a look at the currencies and markets. And don't forget, Wall Street is closed today for the Labor Day holiday. You're watching Sky World News on our website, skynews.com. Rooney stays with the England squad despite fresh claims about his private life. And there are some surprise results in the latest round of the US Open. It'll be cool and breezy around the Western Cape of Africa today, but staying dry with sunny intervals for Cape Town. High temperatures here of 15 degrees Celsius. Eastern coastal parts of Madagascar will again see showers today, but the Seychelles should enjoy some sunny spells with highs for Port Victoria of 29 degrees. Across much of the south of Africa, it'll be a dry and fine day once again, with average temperatures for the time of year. Across the central belt, the equatorial showers are set to continue once the heat builds, and they'll be heavy over the Ethiopian highlands. Highs for Addis Ababa, 21 degrees Celsius.
Hello again. Time for the sports headlines. 2020 World Champions England have comfortably won their first match against Pakistan. The tourists reached 126 for 4 from their 20th. England reached their target with 5 wickets and 17 balls to spare. Fourth seed Andy Murray is out of the US Open. The British #1 was beaten in the third round by Stanislas Wawrinka in 4 sets. And Miguel Angel Jimenez has won the European Masters in Switzerland, finishing on 21 under par, 3 strokes clear of Ryder Cup teammate Eduardo Molinari.
Let's take another look at some of our top stories.